The race is on among big tech companies for dominance in AI technology, and chatbots, according to the media, are emerging as the key area where this competition is taking visible shape. So what do pundits think about the current craze of our AI chatbots? What are the charms and concerns surrounding AI chatbots? And what efforts are underway to balance testing new AI tools and developing guardrails? Welcome to Issues and Insiders. Now, today we explore the advances thus far in AI chatbots, and for this I have Professor Emeritus Soo-young of KAIST, who is also the co-founder of Artificial Language Intelligence. Professor Yi, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to join.
I also have Professor Ashique Khudabukhsh at the Rochester Institute of Technology. Professor Khudabukhsh, it's good to have you with us as well.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Right, Professor Khudabukhsh, let's begin with your thoughts regarding the current craze of AI chatbots. How do you explain its popularity?
I think it's quite justified that it's very popular right now because ChatGPT was very easy to use. A lot of people could use it, so it was scaling up well. And then I have also played around with ChatGPT, and I felt that most of its responses are very high quality. So I think that the buzz is justified, and it's an exciting time in AI right now.
Right, I'm sure many will agree with you. And Professor Yi, what can you tell us about the commercial value of AI chatbots?
Yeah, it's enormous. I like to talk about the AI-based personal assistants in general, and the commercial value of human-like AI assistants is enormous. At offices and factories and home, everybody will have their own personalized AI assistants, which, or I may say, who provides services such as answering questions and providing advices, preparing documents for homework and even legal services, and even making computer code. Experienced legal assistants in general office, medical assistant in hospitals, and personal tutors, companion for silvery elderly, assistant to artists, and many others. So even from the late 1990s, we imagined that with the help of one AI assistant for everybody, people may have twice more productivity with better quality. In this case, the national gross domestic product may simply become double. Now, AI has been developed further, and we expect a lot more. However, I do not recommend to use AI assistant blindly, especially for generative AI. Generative AI generates based on probability, and it is quite possible to have something unexpected. So AI is just an assistance, show some possibility, and the final decision is yours.
Right, I see. And before we delve into that a bit more, Professor, there are pundits who claim that the AI chatbots themselves could actually help ease the current slump in the DRAM market. Could you explain this for us?
Yes, AI is power hungry. That means it requires much more memory and computing power. Human brain has about 10 to the 14 synapses, that's equivalent to computer memory, and about 10 to the 16 multiplication per second. Although the number of parameters in current large AI has been rapidly growing and reached about 10 to the 11, it is still 1,000 times smaller than human brain. Since we do not know exactly how our brain works, if you want to achieve similar performance of human brain, you may require much more than 10,000 times of current large the AI machine. That means you need keep on increasing the memory of your AI computers. As developing companies may want to have this data, so they need training there all over the internet and connected by the internet, but developing company need that data inside their own computing system. So the memory requirement is quite enormous. Also, I would like to point out the needs of parallel processors. The neural network in human brain greatly rely on parallel processors, and the current AI model also adopted. Actually, Korea has also developed neural chips with parallel architectures in 1990s already, but it has been limited, used by only for the developer, not for any programmer. Now, several companies in the world are making massively parallel chips for training and testing the AI machine, AI algorithm. However, people believe that ChatGPT has been trained for about 6 months. Actually, it is much shorter than the period of a baby become a grown up. Obviously, we need much more faster computer. So the future of the semiconductor-based technology is quite good. However, still one question remains is the energy consumption. Human brain only use about 20 watts, while the existing system more than 10,000 times orbit. So we need chips with less power consumption than currently we are using. Thank you.
Right, I see. So basically speaking, though, the prospects for the chip market is looking quite bright then. Professor Khudabukhsh, simply speaking now, what is conversational or generative AI?
So generative AI is basically an AI system that can create content based on some prompts given by a user. And the content could be image, it could be audio, it could be text. For example, ChatGPT is basically a generative AI of text. And if a user gives a prompt, then ChatGPT can maybe write a love poem. If the user asks to ChatGPT to write one, I actually asked ChatGPT to write a movie synopsis. And I said that, can you give me a movie synopsis of an Indian Oscar-winning movie, Lagan? And it did pretty well. And then I said that, can you shorten the synopsis to like one line? It did really well. And then when I said that, can you give a single word description of the movie? It said that there could be many descriptions, but I think inspirational is the word that best describes the movie. So that's like the crux of generative AI. Like you can just give, a user can give different prompts telling what the user wants from the AI system, and then it will generate new content.
Right, I see. Professor E, Korea itself, it's hoping to make significant strides in AI technology by the year 2027 to stand perhaps within the top 3 worldwide. That being said, Professor E, where does Korea stand at the moment?
Well, it is not easy to make national ranking of a general technology such as AI. Especially, there are many aspects to consider, including the published papers and patent and companies and commercial services, etc., and also the quantity versus quality we need to discuss. But in terms of papers, I think many people agree that Korea is within top 5 in the globe. US and China may be the top 2s at this moment, and Europe, Japan, and Korea may be the followers. However, the majority of published papers are not with high impact to the community. Korean R&D has the tendency to look for small improvement rather than high risk, high return, big impact. I think we need to change this culture both in academia and industries, especially startup companies really need to take ventures, while government and big companies to provide infrastructure for the win-win collaboration among companies.
Right, of course. Professor Khudabukhsh, with regard to your interaction with Chatbot GTP, what perhaps were some of the limitations that you experienced, or generally speaking, what are the current limitations of generative AI, do you suppose?
So one limitation that I experienced was sometimes it's very confident and it gives a response which looks very real, factually correct, but it could be factually completely wrong. So that's one thing I noticed is a problem with ChatGPT while working with that. And then also sometimes using like very simple logical connection, it fails to make those connections. Like I actually asked about one of the prominent personalities, and ChatGPT said that he's alive. And then I said that, but I know that that person has passed away in 2015. If someone has passed away in 2015, how can that person be alive? And then ChatGPT quickly responds that, oh, it was my mistake. But this kind of very logical kind of mistakes that you don't expect humans to make, and this kind of AI bots can make those mistakes. So that's, I feel, that is something deeply concerning. And regarding a broader commentary on AI systems, we recently did a work where we showed that automated speech recognition systems, they're very good. They can generate subtitles almost real time, and they're very highly accurate. But if you use that system on video content made for kids, they make a lot of inappropriate and harmful errors. So we have to be very careful about like what kind of data they're trained on and what kind of data we are feeding the system now, and what could be some unforeseen risks attached to that. So these are some of the broad patterns that I noticed in some of the commercial systems. I mean, they're very good, but we have to be quite careful when we try to use them for high-stake applications.
Professor Khudabukhsh, when you talk about inappropriate and highly harmful errors, are you talking about the choice of diction?
So a kid was, I think, in the video, the kid was saying that I want to go to market and buy some corn, and the automated speech recognition system said that I want to buy some porn, which is very inappropriate in a kid's video. And then there was another case where the character was saying that I want to be strong and brave like Hercules, and the automated caption said that I want to be strong and rape like Hercules. So these are some very inappropriate and harmful errors, and it happened from a commercial top-of-the-line speech recognition systems. So these are the things that I'm talking about.
Right, I see. Meanwhile, Professor, efforts they're also underway to address questions raised by generative AI and intellectual property. How do these efforts perhaps look to support related AI development going forward?
There exist several different issues on AI intellectual property, which may provide uncertainty in the future of AI business. So business doesn't like uncertainty. So by removing this uncertainty, it will reduce the hurdle of AI commercialization. So I like to talk two different issues. The first one I like to talk about is the right of AI as inventorship and ownership of what they have created. As humans, we all look for adding values to the society, which will be protected by intellectual property rights. The concept stimulates human activity and has provided the prosperity of human society. Therefore, the inventorship and ownership of any creation, including patent, papers, and art, have been limited to humans so far. Then the question is, why human? If AI did significant portion of the creation, why not giving inventorship to owner, to the AI? Another question arises, if AI ownership has the ownership, how AI can exercise the ownership? Can AI buy something for itself or herself? Can we assign custodian for AI. So there's another issue keep on coming. Secondly, I would like to discuss liability of AI and also AI developer for the intellectual property of trained right. This issue already coming from DALL-E and even the ChatGPT. AI trained with all available data provide the developer, but the data may be protected by intellectual property. In this case, I had proposed to a mechanism similar to the music IP issues. There is non-government or non-profit organization monitors all the uses of the music and collect some money from them and then distribute that to its creator. So that kind of mechanism also need to be formulated for the AI successful business.
Right, indeed, of course. Professor Khudabukhsh, also, what can you tell us about the ethical concerns surrounding AI chatbots?
I think the concern is real. And I mean, after playing around with ChatGPT, I could sense that it can write very high quality essays. So we have to figure out how to design education system because, I mean, if kids going to school start using these chatbots to write essays, we have to find out a way to teach them how to do research for a topic. I mean, writing an essay is a very involved thinking process. It's just not learning how to write, it's also learning how to think. So if ChatGPT starts getting used in those kind of harmful to like educational context, we have to think about that. And then the second thing, as the professor just pointed out, how to attribute if the content that the AI generated, how do I know if it's original? It could be plagiarized. I mean, how to ascribe source to what the AI is creating. So these are some of the concerns. And then finally, the bigger concern is AI systems. If there is a disadvantaged minority that did not have any say on how the system was created, then the gap between the AI haves and AI have-nots will just keep widening. So these are some of the things that we have to think at this point, and I feel that it is now very real, and the risks, the threats, AI can create very believable misinformation. So we just don't know how the web will look like in the future. So this is actually a very important time for researchers, computer scientists, and ethicists, social scientists, and industry people to think together and find and develop better guardrails for AI.
Right, of course, I would have to agree. And that being said, Professor, what are your thoughts on framing out legal guidelines to ensure AI ethics, so to speak?
Yeah, we just touched the very important issue on AI ethics. For example, as you said, if the student utilize ChatGPT or any generative AI for their report, it's not good, right? But even without AI, parents or grandparents may help students to do their homework. So how we can ask AI to do something and not to do something? That's basically what I say is we should ask the same thing, to do this, not to do this, as human. AI is just the assistant, so we should ask the same ethical guideline to human assistant. By saying that, I think it is also very important not to overdo. That means even in the same category, it is really impossible to identify all the different levels of risk and benefit. So depends on risk and benefit analysis, we should guide, even for human, we should tell you are supposed to do this and you are not supposed to do this. That depends on many different levels, and that is almost impossible to prepare in advance. Therefore, my philosophy is, even to the human or AI, we let them do anything except we agreed not to do. And if something happened later on, our social agreement, general common sense, may try to interfere and prevent that kind of situation. The fairness issue, transparency issue, liability issue, all belong to the same thing. So we like to ask AI the similar ethical guideline as human do.
Right. I would have to say so many questions out there and so few answers. And while we have that set, then Professor Khudabukhsh, what can you share with us about AI regulation there in the US?
I think it's gradually becoming a more and more important conversation. And the key focus will be on, data privacy. If users' private information is being used by an AI system to make decision, then the user should be able to first know that it's happening, and also she should be able to opt out if she wants to. Secondly, like transparency. If the user's very high impact decision is made by an AI system, the user has the right to know that, and again, she should have the right to opt out. So I think transparency issues, privacy issues, these are slowly becoming very important conversation. And the US's approach to AI regulation is pretty much following suit of the European AI regulation right now. And I think it's a very good thing to have this conversation right now. And it's high time that we start thinking about it.
Right, of course. And Professor Lee, we have one final question for you before we end the program. In what direction do you suppose your Korea's AI technologies seek to flow? I believe we have about 1 minute, Professor Lee.
Okay, that's a tough question to ask. But as AI technology consists of 3 different categories: core and applied, and somewhere between them. So we need to emphasize core part and also the combination of the AI technology and knowledge domain, the domain-specific knowledge come up to better comparative engines. The last one is just to simply apply public domain AI software to existing services. And I think for that purposes, we can utilize all people even without the computer science community, even engineering community. Non-engineering community is good for that. Thank you.
I see. All right, Professor, thank you very much for your time and your thoughts today. And Professor Khudabukhsh, thank you so much for the concerns that you raised as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Well, on that note, we say goodbye. Thank you for watching. Have a good weekend and see you same time next Monday.